Well, that'd be nice. You got plenty of them. Cornmeal out here. Yeah, it really does. We should take some of the stuff off that. Yeah, that's really giving you plenty of rain. You know.
Hey, how are you?
Fine. Hey.
Pretty good.
Having fun? Are you having fun?
Yes, you know this is the funnest thing in the world. Are you?
So far. This is the first one, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, this is one of the better ones. Are there any other council forums coming up?
Well, I got a registered letter from League of Women Voters today. And they want to have one on the 28th at
Next month?
Owen. If they can't put it somewhere between District 2, that puts it in Black Mountain. And District 2 is big. I've told them, you put it in Weaverville so that people from Lester and Barnesville, people from Black Mountain that comes to the center, I'll do it. But other than that, I'm not. Explained it more than one time.
Well, you know, it's like this. When I have
Good to see you.
check it out. But I am getting ready to be out of this area. We are building the new, I'm in charge of building the new school system. David, how are you? There was a lot of Charlie West. Charlie would put this together every day. So I mean, Charlie, he was getting working the contributions. Oh, it is. It's good. That's the difficult part. Put a bucket under the dispenser. Plastic container. I'll tell you what, if you're out at you know where our driver go down, you know where you stop. Right is our driver. The end of that drive. Right.
My photos so I could take them. Now,
I'm not on the team on that one, I'll tell you what Wait.
Never done how you did. I knew you would do something.
He had a good voice.
you doing? Good, good. Somebody can tell me that, I guess y'all are the main place doing corn feed that. Said they got your company logo right now. They got your company logo right in the middle of that corn there. Yeah, good. They can tell me how they did it. I don't know.
I've got to put somebody here with you. We're running out of space. The one person on each side, and then you'll still have your
Oh, they might
objective
be.
view.
Can you put them?
Yeah.
WPPM.
Would the candidates that are debating please come up to the front, please? Okay, we'd like to get started here. I'm Rod Hudgens, Vice President of CIBO. I'm very happy to have you here. We'd like to have Josh Holmes come up and have a prayer and a pledge of allegiance.
Good afternoon. Let us pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this day and this time together, Lord. We thank you for this food and this time of fellowship. We thank you for the freedoms that we enjoy, Lord, in this political process. And we just ask that you give each of these candidates and elected leaders wisdom and strength and guidance, Lord, that only you can provide, Lord. And we just ask that all that we say and do here today would be pleasing to you. It's in your name we pray. Amen. Please stand. We'll recite our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'd like to recognize in the audience the candidates, other candidates that are running for election. Dr. Mary Standard. Where is she? Right here. Okay. Let's save the applause to the end if you don't mind. Thanks.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Mary, you got yours. Pat Cochran, candidate for Buncombe County Register of Deeds. All right. Todd Williams, Buncombe County District Attorney.
I'm actually not running this year.
Dusty Pless, Buncombe County School Board. Steve Cogburn, Buncombe County Clerk of Court.
I'm not running either.
Oh. Sheriff Van Duncan of Buncombe County. The Mayor of Asheville, Esther Manheimer. Frank Moretz, North Carolina House candidate. Did I miss anybody? All right, let's see here. We'd like to have Tim Sinatra with the Elida Homes CEO would like to give us a welcome for this nice facility, using this facility.
It's our pleasure to have you here at Elida. Anytime we can have people come on campus to really see what we're doing and experience it in any way, we're delighted to have you. Elida's mission is helping children succeed, and how I like to share that mission is really advice I got from a 9-year-old one time. I did these long distance outdoor adventure races, which is like a triathlon, and it could be up to 40, 50 hours straight. And I remember picking up my teammate, and as we were about to leave, his little 9-year-old son ran out and said, Dad, I've got some advice on winning. And I thought, wow, we can barely finish these races. I want to hear what a 9-year-old, because we need every advice, at any point we can get to win. And the little boy said to his father, Dad, when the race starts, just get out in front and stay there. Well, we did. We ran 50 yards, and then the rest of the athletes passed us, and we never saw them again when the race started. But the reality is, a lot of the kids we're serving here at Elida don't come from the same starting line of life as many of us have had. And our job is to get them up to that starting line, keep them out in front. We help youth navigate the realities of life. We want them to be academically successful and have a career pathway of choice with the right resources to obtain it. And we do everything in our power to do that. We can't do that alone. Many of you here are our supporters, and you support youth in the community anywhere in some way. That's important. We love what we do here. We want youth to know there are no mistakes, that the world's waiting for them to be great, and you guys help us do that. Thanks a lot.
If you haven't read the sheet in front of you, we have candidates, chairman of Buncombe County candidates, Vice Chair Brownie Newman and Chuck Archer. Sorry about that. District 1, Jasmine Beach Ferrara.
Right there.
Right there.
No, right here.
She's not seated.
It's not seated.
Not seated.
Why aren't you seated?
Okay. I'm sorry, Jasmine.
That's great, right?
All right. These things really confuse me. District 2, Mike Fryer and Nancy Nelson.
That's correct.
Is that close? Thank you. And District 3 is Commissioner Joe Belcher and Ed Hay. And District 3 is David King and Robert Presley. Now, part of the good part here is we would like to invite District 1 Commissioner Jasmine Beach Ferrara to tell us about herself and give her 1 minute to speak. Tell us about her. She has no competition. Come in.
Good afternoon. It's really lovely to see you all, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. Thank you to all my fellow candidates and those already serving for stepping up into this service. I now have about 50 seconds, so I will keep this brief, and just want to tell you a little bit about who I am and why I'm proud to be running as a candidate in the District 1 race. I grew up in North Carolina. I was raised by my mom, a single mom, and attended North Carolina public schools. And that's why I learned some of the core lessons that have shaped my life. The other place I learned them was in the church I was raised in. And those lessons come down to being of service and working to ensure that everyone is treated fairly and with dignity and respect. And for a moment, to borrow from my faith tradition, everyone is seen as an equal child of God. And that's really what has driven my life in public service. And it's one of the big things that's motivated me to run for office now. The issues that I plan to focus on have to do with helping to create a Buncombe County where every single person can thrive, and we're especially looking at how we can help kids thrive, especially those kids who have been struggling or encountering challenges that are making it harder for them. Just a little bit about me personally. I'm a minister in the United Church of Christ, and my wife, Megan Burke, is an attorney in town, and we're proud to be the parents of a little 2-year-old who keeps us on our toes, as I'm sure many of you can imagine. So thank you for this opportunity. Again, very honored to be up here with all of you, and look forward to a lively campaign season here in Buncombe County. Thank you.
Thanks, Jasmine. We appreciate that. Now, moving on, the rules for today's forum are as follows. The candidates will be given 1 minute for opening remarks. Then we will have a series of questions from the organization. The candidates will be given 1 minute to respond. Patty will be over here to keep the time, and she will be showing cards to tell you how much time you've got or whether to stop. In addition, if a candidate mentions another candidate during the response, then that candidate will be given 30 seconds. The chairman candidates will lead off the debate with a question directed at them only. Then each candidate, including the chairman candidates, will be asked the same question. The final question from the organization, each candidate will be allowed to ask his or her opponent one question. So you might be thinking about that, see what you come up with. If time permits, each candidate will be given 30 seconds for final remarks. All right, let's see. Let's do candidates for the chairman. This is for either Brownie Newman or Chuck.
Rod, they get to tell about themselves in 1 minute.
Oh, thank you. That says it right here. Okay. Look, folks, this is not my profession. Okay, Chuck, let's start with you. 1 minute to tell your story.
If you want to, you got microphones. Which blue?
It's not?
You might have to turn it on.
Yeah,
All of you might have to turn your mics on.
Well, this may not be his profession. Being a politician is not my profession either. I'm a taxpayer, just like each of you, and I'm running because I feel that the county really needs some guidance from a financial perspective. How many of you know how much county debt we have at this time? There's 1 or 2 people out here who do. Well, over the last 4 years, we've gone from $220 million of debt to $457 million. We've doubled it in a 4-year period, and since then, my understanding is it's gone up to $517 million. Just amazing numbers when you consider that all of that has to be paid back, and along with the interest. And I believe that we need to use financial responsibility and to stay within our means. I've got 36 years of business experience. I'm a certified public accountant, and I'm here to serve you. Thank you very much.
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Brownie Newman, and I'm currently serving in my 2nd term on the Buncombe County Commission, and I'm running for chair of the County Commission. My wife, Beth, and I live in the Montford neighborhood. We have 2 daughters, Tess and Lizzie, who are in 4th grade and 7th grade in our local public schools. For the past 8 years, I have worked in the solar energy industry. As the vice president of FLS Energy, I helped grow our company from 7 employees to more than 70. We built and developed the first utility-scale solar farm in western North Carolina on a retired landfill in Canton. Last year, I started my own solar development business. It's the responsibility of the chair of the County Commission to represent and listen to all the people of Buncombe County. And if I'm elected, I will be committed to doing that. I want Buncombe County to be a good place to do business, especially for the local men and women who have the vision and the nerve to start their own business and be an independent business owner. If I'm fortunate enough to be elected to the chair of the County Commission, I look forward to working with all of you. Thank you.
My name's Mike Fryer. This is my first term as County Commissioner from District 2. I came into it saying that the county was basically, there was too much money being spent. I looked at the college, AB Tech, I looked at the bond, and basically in the process, we had a president over at AB Tech that was wanting to spend $54 million on an allied healthcare building that point blank ended up coming in at a little under $38 million after we got Mr. Moffitt and Mr. Nesbitt, or Mr. Ramsey, involved in letting the county take over the projects. So I've always said schools is a priority, But fluff and buff is not the priority that you look at. You look at what the people in the schools, are just for. You build a school, you build a campus out of mortar. You don't try to make it anything other than that. So I've saved, basically, if you look at my card on the table, it's $29.5 million through the process of that. So I'm going to continue to do that. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nancy Niels Nelson, and I'm running in District 2 for County Commissioner. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for being here today. My background is in project management and in marketing and in business. I grew up in the Midwest. My mom is from South Carolina, and we moved down here about 15 years ago. And I worked for AT&T Bell Laboratories for most of my career. I was a project manager. I managed large projects across multi-countries, across multi-locations, multi-departments. The big thing that I see, and I agree with people here in this table that feel that money is important, and that is that if you have a budget, which I used to get, I have to bring the product in on time, and I have to bring it in under budget. And I want to bring that significant skill to our county commission. Although I do believe that education is our top priority, and I want to make sure that the people in Buncombe County know that our next generation is so important, and we have to make sure that we can help them get the best education they can. I'm Nancy Niels Nelson. I'm running for County Commissioner in District 2, and I need your vote. Thank you very much.
I hope we're not going to stand up for a question, but anyhow. My name's Joe Belcher. First, I am a Bible-believing Christian, married to this lovely lady in the middle here for 42 years. My daughter is here, and my granddaughter, baby Fern, is here, and I have I have a son, Joseph, and 2 other grandchildren. That is what drives me. That is what motivates me. That is what makes me make good decisions. And when it comes to the spending of tax dollars, I pour it through a filter of compassion first, and then as that filter tightens up, then it goes into the money, and it starts talking about how can we save, what can we do, but let's make sure we take care of the need. I am very pleased with what I've been able to do in my first term. I'm excited about this month. We will cut the ribbon on 3 new schools in Buncombe County that has never been done in the history of Buncombe County. All 3 of those schools were vetted, and the cost was driven down to provide much, much more for less, so that the need can be met for our children. I will continue to do that if I'm fortunate enough to have your support, and I hope that I do. Thank you.
My name's Ed Hay. My name's Ed Hay. I'm running for District 3 for the post presently held by my friend Joe Belcher. I'm a lawyer, so standing up is the only way I know how to talk, and hopefully we'll continue to do it that way. I've been in Asheville since 1976, and during that time I've been engaged in any number of community activities, because that's what I like to do, and I think it's a way for me to contribute to what goes on in our city. That includes 6 years on the Asheville City Council and a number of years on other commissions and boards. One thing I care a lot about is the direction our county is headed. And one reason why I'm running now is that I think our county is faced with some historic decisions about what we need to do going forward. David King and I have been covering the district with neighborhood meetings and group sessions, trying to determine, first of all, do people know us and introduce ourselves to them. But the other side is we're trying to listen and hear. What we hear from people is they're worried about the schools, that we need to do what we need to do to protect the schools against what's coming down to them from Raleigh. We need to worry about where we need to address job creation in a creative way. We'll talk more about that. And the third is, and this is what we hear every place, people are concerned about growth management, about what's going on in their communities. So those are the issues. That's why I'm running for County Commission. My name's Ed Hay.
Good afternoon. I'm David King. I'm running for the other open seat in District 3. I'm running because this is my home just like you. I was born here. I want to see us continue to prosper. We are now in the 21st century. We've got 21st century challenges or opportunities, depending on how you want to look at it. And a lot of those are important to many people. There's education, there's jobs, there is recruitment of jobs, as well as maintaining those here. We also have issues with transportation and traffic issues that hopefully we can do something with, but we need people who are willing to look to the future, not go to the past. We can refer to the past, but we're going to have to meet those challenges, and that's why I'm running. I have been supportive. I've been on the commission before, and I supported education, I supported jobs, I supported the people of Buncombe County, because ultimately all of these things are for the people.
Hello, I'm Robert Presley. I'm a native of North Carolina, Asheville. I've been here my whole life. My family grew up here. I've been married for 32 years to my wife, Gina. I have 2 kids and 3 grandkids. I'm looking for the future of my grandkids and my kids. I have got to fulfill my dream of being a NASCAR driver for 25 years. Now it's time to serve the county. And as I can get elected, District 3, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure we've got the correct education, that we have got the funds, that we keep within our budget to keep Buncombe County the way it was 50 years ago and the way it will be 50 years from now. Let's get ready for the growth of Buncombe County. I'm ready to serve. Thank you.
Thanks, candidates. Now we'll start with a question for the chairman candidates. And let's see, how about Chuck first? We'll ask you this question. As the leader of this county, what specific plans do you have to bring industry to this county?
Well, I think with 36 years of business experience, starting with a large international CPA firm, working for a division of Dun & Bradstreet that's larger than Buncombe County as far as our budget goes, I know the needs of business and I can talk to them. And I think one of my biggest strong points related to bringing industry in is I can speak the language with them. A lot of people, when you start talking numbers, their eyes kind of roll back for some reason. It makes sense to me, and I can work with the industries that come in, try to find the right match for Buncombe County, because we don't want every business here. We want businesses that are going to pay good jobs, that are going to be positive contributors to our county. I've got the financial expertise and to be able to sit down and talk turkey with them and to really help sell Buncombe County to the potential employers.
Thank you. Thanks, Judge. Brownie?
Thank you. In terms of economic development and bringing businesses, attracting businesses to our community, I think we've had a lot of success. We've had more growth in our manufacturing sector than most other cities in the state, bringing companies like New Belgium, GE, Linamar here. These were all tough battles that we were competing against nationally and even internationally. So we've had a lot of success. I think we need to continue that. I would like to see us broaden our economic development incentive policies so that smaller and medium-sized businesses can also benefit from our economic development incentives in the same ways that some of these larger companies can. I also just think it's important that to build a strong local economy, we need local government itself that is fiscally responsible and disciplined. When I was first elected to the Asheville City Council, neither the city nor the county had a AAA credit rating, and now they both do, and those are the only local governments in Western North Carolina that can make that claim. So if we have our house in order, that makes us a very attractive place to do business.
That's all for the chairman. Yeah, we'll start with the regular question for all the candidates and the chairman. And we'll start with you, Mike. Currently, the revaluation of property in Buncombe County is being conducted by the tax department. Based on the outcome of the new revaluation, could you foresee a scenario where the tax rate would not be adjusted to revenue neutral? And explain.
I can see that. And why I explain it is why I'm explaining it is, the board that we have right now, we had a meeting a while back, and one of the commissioners tried to cut 1 cent away from your property tax now that money was basically given to us 24 hours beforehand. I fought this 8-cent increase. We had one commissioner say, well, how much is a $200,000 house? How much taxes on a $200,000 house? Well, it's only $20. Well, 8 cents, that's $160. So if we don't back our 60.4 cent rate back down to somewhere close to 52 cents, when the reval comes through and the property is worth what it is, it's going to go up one more time, and that'll add another 160. So the person be paying 320. So if we don't curb this, yes, the property tax will be going up.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you. Well, first I'd like to say that I don't want the taxes in this county to increase. And I think the way that we do that is we partner with the people in Raleigh right now, because so much of our property taxes and our other taxes depend on what is brought down to us from the state. Right now, if the state would step up to what they should be doing in our education area, a lot of the money that is being used by the county for educational situations could be broken free and would help right now in the county in terms of financing. In terms of our property taxes going up, yes, they may go up. And as long as Asheville and Buncombe County continue to tell the world that they are a destination city for travelers and visitors, we are going to have to continue to balance the needs of these temporary taxpayers and the needs of people who live here right now, all depending on people like you who have the businesses that support both locals and our visitors.
Joe?
One thing I learned when I became a commissioner is that I did not know prior to that. Once I sat in the seat, I realized it was up to me to make those decisions. Not Raleigh, not the federal government. Those decisions come to me. I have to make those decisions. And it is my intent to continue, no matter where the reval shows up, to make good, fiscally responsible decisions and make them based on what you tell me, not what I read in the paper, not what I get from some other place, based on what my constituents tell me is the needs within this county. Then I intend to meet those needs, and I intend to advocate and keep your taxes down by sound business principles as I have in the last 3 years. That is my intent, and I will promise you I will continue to do that. If you look at the record that I have, it's pretty clear, and I'll continue to do that. So no matter what happens with the reval, you don't have to worry between now and then when that happens. When that happens, I assure you I will make good financial decisions for you and your family.
Look around and see all the new investment that's going on in our community. I live in South Asheville, and from my deck, I can see millions and millions of dollars being invested in our community. Those billions of dollars in investments come back to us in taxes. I do think that we can go forward without increasing the tax burden on homeowners by collecting on the taxes that are being created by the new investment that's going on. We have one of the most robust economies in the state right this minute. I think we can capture some of that and use it without having to increase the burden on taxpayers.
On the tax reval, first of all, that was triggered by state law, which requires counties to revalue their property once it drops below 85% of the actual value. So that's why we're looking at a reval. As far as the revenue neutral thing, I can't sit here and tell you what the future is going to be for the county. I can tell you that I will work diligently to keep taxes in line, but the best way to do that is to continue to recruit industry and people moving here. That spreads that tax base, and it keeps the rate down when we have a larger, diverse base. So it's a matter of the only thing we have total control over is going after recruitment, also continuing to support the business we have here and help them be successful. Thank you.
no one likes property tax increases. I don't. A lot of people that's moving in to Western North Carolina, Buncombe County here, do not think our property taxes are that high because of where they've come from. But as the people that's lived here their whole life, we're getting hit with property taxes. If we get reevaluated and have an increase, then we're going to have a large number going. If that number is going to education, going to our law enforcement, going different places, then I think it's good. But with everything that's going on in Asheville, with all the apartments coming into Buncombe County, I see our increase in tax dollars going up, so our budget should be all right on that. And as time goes on and I learn more about what's going on, because I'm a rookie at this right now, so I'm learning and listening, and that's what I want to do for the next 3 months, and hopefully get in here and can help these problems. Thank you.
I served 2 terms on the Asheville City Council, and I'm serving my 2nd term on the Buncombe County Commission. So during that time, I have voted to raise the property tax rate 1 time. So I'm never someone who would say we can make a pledge that you would never increase the tax rate. I think that'd be totally irresponsible to do because we don't know what the future holds. But property taxes hit the middle class really hard. It is not a progressive way to fund government. It's one of the few tools we have in the toolbox, though. We don't have a lot of different options. So I think we need to be disciplined. I think we need to set priorities and make decisions so that we can hold the line on taxes to the maximum extent we can, and that's the approach that I've taken in local government.
I believe in transparency of government, and one thing that has been used in the past is the reevaluation clouds the issue. Reevaluation simply says we take the basis that we allocate the taxes, and it's based upon new values. The taxes themselves we set as a commission, and I would be strongly in favor of keeping the tax level the same. Even though that may be a lower rate, it may be the same tax dollars, distributed differently based upon new valuations. And I think it's extremely important that we control our taxes, because that's money that you earn, that the government takes out of your pocket. And we need to be very, very careful in our spending so that we aren't wasting your tax dollars. Transparency is a key, and one of the things that concerns me is the use of the revaluation to obscure what's really happening with your taxes.
Thank you. Question number 3. Vice Chair Browning, this is for you. What are the top 3 infrastructure needs in Buncombe County, and how would you pay for them?
I think, our number 1 infrastructure priority has got to be our public school facilities. Generally speaking, in North Carolina, the state provides most of the funding to operate our public schools, but counties are primarily responsible for taking care of the physical infrastructure of the public school system itself. So public schools are a core business for Buncombe County, and making sure we have great facilities for our kids to go into every morning and learn is a top priority. And I'm really proud of the work our county commission has done on this since 2012. In 2012, there had not been a new school built in Asheville in 30 years. And so, as was mentioned earlier, we're opening 3 new schools, the Inca Intermediate School, Asheville Middle, Isaac Dixon. These are beautiful new facilities. And working with our legislators, we do now have a great dedicated revenue source to continue making those investments. I'm sure we'll talk about the I-26 project. That's a key project, so certainly important too, and there's good progress being made on the implementation of that project. We'll talk more about it.
Mike?
We've made a big investment in schools over the last several years. I think the greatest need is addressing the traffic problems. I don't know about you, but when I moved here, I complained about being 3 back at a stoplight. Well, right now it takes me quite a while to get down Hendersonville Road at 5 o'clock in the evening. We need to address the traffic problems in a proactive way where we plan for the future and make sure that we build for the future. There have been some who have fought the widening of the interstate, for example, I-26 from Hendersonville to Asheville, the I-26 connector. Their whole point was trying to go and delay any action on that so that it would cause more traffic so that we would then start taking a bus, walking, or riding a bike. Well, in the mountains, that's not really realistic. We need to plan for the future. The I-26 connector, right now they're arguing whether we expand it from 6 lanes or 8 lanes. Let's build for the future.
Thank you, Mike.
Well, we've done 3 schools. Basically helped do GE, building new DSS area. We have spent till now we're building a gun range, an indoor gun range. I guess traffic would be something, but we personally, county, do not own any roads. So that's going to be the hardest thing. Right now, you know, we're getting ready to put $22 million into the city schools, into Asheville High School, to be truthful. Because, best I can tell, the maintenance that the city's done, we got Isaac Desson tore down, we got the other ones tore down, and the maintenance on these schools has been terrible. So the main thing is the county is going to oversee what's happening, because in the process of the money that was given through the legislature, through 888, we can take the money, instead of giving 15% just to the city, we can utilize that money instead of the county having to borrow money to build the city schools, which we had to do on 2 of them. So now we can disperse that money in different areas, and that's, you know, I don't know anything else that we need at the present time. We're in deep enough debt.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you very much. Well, I think that the I-26 project is probably one of the most important infrastructure issues facing your community right now. And it's something that certainly DOT has worked with the people here in Asheville and with Buncombe County about what's the best way to do that. Whether or not we want to worry about 6 or 8 lanes, I'm not sure where we are on that right now, but I can tell you that that's important of bringing people to and from Asheville when we don't have rail, we don't have light rail, and we still depend on our cars and our pickup trucks to get us to and from everywhere. But what I want to say is, in regard to traffic, and traffic is a huge issue, Mr. Fryer is correct. That is something that the county commission can't do anything about. But what we can do is we can partner with the people at the state and make sure that DOT works on our projects with some input from those of us at the county. I cut my teeth on land conservation and on land development, and one of the things I learned is when things are approved by the county with their ordinances, that impacts what happens to our traffic. And it's a catch-22 situation, and it's something that has to be dealt with.
Okay, I'm going to try to do this very, very quickly because it said 3 things. So one is I-26 local roads. For 2 years, I served on a working group that was successful in getting the city and county to agree on a resolution to send to the state and federal to actually allow and speed up the funding that was tied up for many, many, many years, as you know. The bad thing is that the work is now being done when the traffic showed up. If we'd done the work in the past, which we couldn't, but the good news is there was over $600 million funded a couple of years ago of your tax dollars. It's coming here, and that work is going to happen. The bad news is I think I shared the shortcuts with all of my friends, and all of y'all know them, and so now everybody's on them, so that's a problem. There's no way that's enough time. But the schools, the good news about schools is that schools are funded through sales tax, and the great news is with places like the Asheville Outlets. How many of you have been to that? Every hand's probably going to go up in the room. The Asheville Outlets, lots and a lot of money is being generated by sales tax now. Sales tax is used to fund your capital needs. The $20-some million for Asheville School will be funded through that. It will not come out of your property tax. It will be funded by capital funding. Thank you.
Ed?
I'd like to make a pitch for expanding the bus lines. I think that part of what we can do And to alleviate the traffic problems is take cars off the road by providing bus service for people, especially out to Inca-Candler and some other places where people are having to commute back and forth to town. I think having a bus coming out to AB Tech makes perfectly good sense. It's not a #1 priority, but I think it's something that the county can partner with the city on and improve transportation options throughout the county.
I'll piggyback off what Ed just said as far as transportation. We all are in agreement that I-26 needs to happen. We all suffer the pains of traffic now, regardless of which part of the county you live in. But as far as Ed talking about bus lines, and I would have thought at one time that's not very practical, but as we've gone around the county in our district, we've had a lot of people actually asking about that, which was a surprising move. And I do agree that a lot of the infrastructure issues and some of these issues tend to be in certain areas around new construction of apartments and those things, and I think we need to go back and look at how we manage those. Another thing that's not been mentioned that's a crucial part of infrastructure, and we don't tend to think that is our health and human services, and that's everything from child protective services to our law enforcement, and we have to continue that. Thank you.
Not in this order, but we know the I-26 connector is very important that we need to take care of. Everybody's got traffic, and we've talked about that. But one thing is our businesses here in Western North Carolina, Buncombe County, is this: let's don't lose no more of our major corporations out of the county here, and let's try to bring new ones in. But let's work with the small business people also. You know, help all of our small business, because that's the future here. Of more business we got, more tax dollars we got coming in. And public schools, we can never talk enough about that, you know, and education. And with me having two sister-in-laws and one daughter teaching school now, it's very important to me now to listen to what we can do to help. Thank you.
Nancy, we'll start with you on the question 4 and go to Joe and Father.
Just go that way with it.
Pardon?
Just go that way and then come back.
Where did you go that way and come back? How do you plan to address the affordable housing needs in Buncombe County, and should taxpayers help pay for this effort?
Okay. Well, I think affordable housing is basically an issue of the way we present ourselves to the world, and that is we are a destination city. And we are a city that says, regardless of where you live in the world, come to Asheville and visit us, and maybe buy a second home and maybe buy a third home. And affordable housing is going to be with us until that changes, because every time we build housing that is affordable for people in the service industry, unless those houses have people that are vetted to purchase those houses or rent those houses are going to be immediately snapped up by people coming from away to be second and third houses. So I believe that places like New York City and Aspen, Colorado, and Asheville, North Carolina, that have been historical destination cities, are going to always have this issue. How we solve it, quite frankly, I think is something that we really need to work on, and I don't have the answer to that today.
Joe?
I think the key to affordable housing is choice. Everyone needs to be free to grow up in, live in, purchase the home of their choice. One of the things when you talk about affordable housing, you don't hear the term affordable home ownership. It is directed towards rentals. And there is a part of the strategy within a county, within a state, probably within the country, that the needs of those people need to be met. But all of that cannot be concentrated within the city areas. Some of it should be. But out in the county, there are people that have to make a decision on what their children and grandchildren are going to live in, and they don't really have the freedom to do that. And so with bringing easing some of those regulations out there, in the county to allow them to be able to do that is not a bad thing. Because there's many people in this room that started out in a house smaller than the area you're sitting in. I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand, but the house I was raised in, the entire size of that house is smaller than the inside of this room. And we need to be allowed, we need to keep those people in Buncombe County and not drive them out as other people are coming, which we need them to come and visit also.
It is an important part of our economic development plan that we be able to provide the lights on. Is that what we're looking at?
It's better.
It is an important part of our economic development plans that we be able to provide housing to everybody who needs it. And so affordable housing is an issue that impacts all of us one way or another, whether we are in the market for housing for ourselves, or whether we want to need for our employees or for the employees in the new industry that we're recruiting. I think it is appropriate for local government to have a role in creation of affordable housing. And one thing I'd like to see more of is partnerships between city government and county government to set aside issues of county and city lines, and develop affordable housing projects that take into account the community that they're being built in, as opposed to who funds it and which government agency is in charge.
In the past, the county has worked on some affordable housing issues, putting up money. But at the end of the day, the real solution, if there is a solution to be had, will come through the private sector. One of the problems we have now is just a shortage of housing. And apartments in particular, vacancy rates are running at 1%. I know a lot of people don't want to see all the apartments, but as they come on, it will help bring down some of the cost of housing. We're going to continue to have expensive housing in this area, just because of the desire to live here. There's also a shift. We're not sure exactly where the future is going to be. Millennials, they're changing from buying houses, and a lot of that's lack of dollars to buy them, but also their view of how they're going to live is changing. So I think we will have a crunch, but eventually we will have this worked out to a better place for Buncombe.
The demand for people wanting to move to Buncombe County, Asheville right now is limited where affordable housing can be. We need it. We need to work as a team to get affordable housing. But as people come in from all over the United States, and if property taxes do continue to rise here, it leaves no room for affordable housing that we can find. It would have to go on out in the county. Like if the city and county can work together and find the places, I've heard about that we're like 300 and something highest housing here in North Carolina, other places. So, how can we justify someone wanting to invest in land here and build apartments or business coming in? And believe it or not, we're running out of land here in Western North Carolina.
Chuck?
I've heard about this issue for years and years and years. There was a meeting yesterday about it where a lot of people talked and nobody had a solution. The real solution, this is a supply and demand issue. The real solution comes back to what is driving the costs up, which I believe is regulation. I mean, every regulation you put in requires a different inspection and requires more from a development standpoint. And also the taxes. That's a key component of the cost of housing. You take a look at the new apartments, they're paying taxes. We keep the taxes low, it's going to keep housing low. I don't think that there's a magic bullet that comes out and provides affordable housing. We'd all like to have affordable housing, but I think that we need to work to streamline the process to make it efficient so that the free market can go and solve that issue, which is a lot better than the government.
I think there's three things. One is we do need to look at our land use plans and make changes to it to encourage and enable more development capacity in areas where the infrastructure in our community can support it. And we did take an important step on that this year where we revised the Buncombe County zoning plan to significantly increase the amount of development capacity that can be built along our major transportation corridors, and that was a very positive change, and I was very supportive of that. We do provide some current financial incentives for all developers to include affordable housing in their developments through fee permit waivers and reductions. We should expand those. And for projects that are going to have deeply affordable and permanently affordable units, it does require direct public investment because it's not realistic for developers to be expected to do that because they have to still have a financially viable project.
You ready to go with that?
Oh.
Thank you. We're ready to speak.
Mike still got to go.
Okay, Mike, excuse me, I'm sorry about that.
Affordable housing, I don't see it. You know, you back up, it's just like Sheriff Van Duncan, I'm looking at him here. A lot of his deputies cannot afford to live in Buncombe County. We just had a meeting here a while back on Eagle Market Street where they wanted to change about half of their stuff into workforce. Some of it they can get cheap from $200 and something up to $700 or $800. The other people that have a job, I don't know how you can call workforce that you can get a 2-room apartment. It's going to be from $1,100 to $1,400 a month. That's not good. But we do have a lot of apartments going up. But if you look at West Asheville, which is really growing, and 17 years ago, or in 1978, there was a house bought for $17,800. The property tax on that home now is it's valued at $196,000. So renting it out, the taxes is about $2,100. So you can imagine the rents are not going to be under $800 for you. There's not affordable in Buncombe, and I hate the people are having to leave Buncombe to be able to work in Buncombe. The guy, I got one more thing because I short a minute ago. The guy from Homeward Bound that tries to put the veterans in places, he had to move out of the county.
All right, we're ready to go into the final question there where you can ask your opponent a question. And we're going to start with Joe Belcher and Ed Hay. Joe, ask Ed a question. Go down the line and come back.
Yeah, Ed, I would ask, what would you hope to do if you were elected that I have not already started or accomplished in my first 3 years?
That's a little hard to answer, Joe. I think most of what's been accomplished were projects and issues that you voted against. The majority on the county commission, I think, has done a good job in the last 4 years on a number of different fronts. But it's been over your negative votes many times. So I can't point to something that you have done that I would have done. Nothing comes to mind.
Now, Ed, you want to ask him a question?
Well, my question for you, Joe, is, it's along the same lines, is that you say that you're a supporter of schools, and I believe that, but you have voted against every budget that included increased funding for the schools.
Took a long time for this to get interesting, didn't it? One is he's inaccurate. I have supported schools through my entire tenure, every single vote, every single budget. Everyone in here and the heads are nodding in this room. You can go back and look, and you can see, and you're going to go tomorrow.